So, what are you doing tonight? Busy? I thought maybe we could go off. Oh, later, maybe. Hello there. I'm Scotty. You're not, and welcome to Stephen King's Saturday Night. Dreamcatcher. And I want to preface this by saying, I watched maybe about 3/4 of this movie, and the disc started to skip. Now, I did buy this from eBay. It was disc only, and I didn't look at the disc well enough. I went to see if there was any scratches or smudges or anything. There's a ding in it. And so I was able to watch 3/4 of the movie before it went out. But I did, and I'm being honest. I went online. I tried to see if it's streaming anywhere through Roku. Not anywhere free. So what I did is I went onto YouTube and I just watched the Nostalgia Cleric's review so that I could figure out what happens at the end and stuff. So I know the gist of it. So it's Stephen King time. Yeah, been a while since I've done one of these, but why not? Figured I'd do these for the month of October, so that it fits in with the Halloween aesthetic, so to speak. And yes, for every time that I do a Stephen King Saturday Night, Michael, or the Halloween shirt, will be switched out with Pennywise over there. That will accommodate that as well. So, Dreamcatcher is about four psychic friends who meet together at this remote cabin in the woods when they come across an alien species called the shit weasels, and all hell breaks loose as the military led by Morgan Freeman and his caterpillar eyebrows, I know I'm one I should talk, but they're worse than mine, show up to cause problems, so to speak. So, right away, this movie caught me off guard. So we see each of the people, the four people, in their own environments before they meet up. We start with Henry, played by Thomas Jane, who's the most badass Punisher in the world, talking to one of his clients. He reads his client's mind, which freaks him out, and then he acts like he's going to commit suicide before someone calls him. It's Jonesy, I believe, that we learn, played by, so I can put it in Matthias Ferguson. Damian Lewis. And then we see that Jason Lee, playing Beaver, yes, that is his name, is drinking alcohol, and he calls. Is it Jonesy that he calls? Or is it. I think it is Jonesy. He calls him to see if he's okay, I think. And then we meet up with Pete, who has a weird psychic thing where he moves his finger and he helps this woman find her car keys. And it says, hey, if I find your keys, we'll go to dinner tonight. I don't think they had a dinner, but anyway. Jonesy is then leaving his office. He's a professor, he leaves his office. And he sees something. He says later that it's Duddits. I'll explain who Duddits is later, but I don't think we see him standing there, at least at that moment. Later, when they show it again, you see him, but I don't think you see him there. He starts walking into traffic, gets hit by a car. We then cut to 6 months later. We do find out later that he died like 3 times, and they came back, which made him sort of immune to the aliens' control, I guess. I don't know. I'll put this here. Throughout the film, we get flashbacks because it's a Stephen King story. To when they were kids. They're walking home because they're walking somewhere to see some chick's pussy. I don't know. Picture. I don't know. A vagina, so to speak. But I don't know. They happen across four bullies because, of course, this is the Stephen King story. And they're bullying this kid named Douglas who can't speak a normal language, so it comes out Duddits. I did it, he says. And so they save him. They become friends with him. Later we find out he gives them psychic abilities to help find this missing girl, which they do. And there's a lot of like Scooby Doo is connected because the lunchbox. And so like Scooby Dooby Doo got some work to do now. It's incorporated. Meanwhile, back in the present day timeline, the four reconvene at this cabin, and Jonesy's just fine. They say he has a hip problem, but they say he's fine. They talk about things, and one of them being the mind warehouse, which Jonesy has in his head. It's supposedly in everyone's head, but we only see Jonesy's because that's the important one. And then we have that talk, and then we cut to the next day, right? Then we have Pete and Henry going into town to get supplies, beer, stuff like that. Meanwhile, back at the cabin, Jonesy and Beaver come across. Well, Jonesy comes across a man in the woods, frozen and stuff, sort of. Takes him back to the cabin, and he explains he was out with a hunting party. He got separated from them. He's lost in the woods. He doesn't know what happened. He said he ate some berries last night. I don't know berries. Obviously, the berries have nothing to do with it, but we'll find. He starts like gurgling and stuff, and burping and farting and stuff. It's really weird. It reminds me of the Slitheen from Doctor Who. It reminds me of the Slitheen. And this came out before Doctor Who, so Doctor Who been reading Stephen King? Also T. Davies? You were reading Stephen King? Huh? But well, the Slitheen didn't go up the butthole, but you know what I mean. Yeah, and so they tell this guy, hey, you should lay down. I should mention, let me talk about Jason Lee's character Beaver in this. He has OCD, so he keeps putting his toothpick in his mouth, which plays into his death later. But also, he is spewing out one-liners like they're supposed to be catchphrase. The ones, bitch on a buzzsaw, and fuck me Freddy are the two that pop in my mind. Fuck me Freddy. Bite my bag is also thrown out there at multiple points by multiple characters, not just Beaver, but bend my. I don't know. It's really weird. But yeah, he's spewing out catchphrases. And yes, they notice that all the animals are moving in all in one direction, like they're afraid, they're trying to leave. But they show that there are marks on them, and from what I can gather, doesn't that mean that they're infected by the creatures? Known as the shit weasels? And I kid you not, that's not just something that our characters call them, because they never do. The military, Caterpillar Eyebrows himself, Morgan Freeman, calls him the shit weasels. I kid you not. I kid you not. I kid you not. I'm serious. So, a shit weasel escapes from the fat guy's ass, is in the toilet, and like Beaver tries to flush it down the toilet. It doesn't work. While Jonesy's out getting duct tape to take the thing down, Beaver just has to go for his toothpick, which causes his death at the hands of the shit weasel. And then a big gray alien, that knows Mr. Gray, shows up and takes over Jonesy's body and gives him a British accent. Now, Damian Lewis is British, so there's that, but yeah. Meanwhile, while this is happening, Henry and Pete come across another member of Fatso's group. I don't know, was his name Rick or something? I don't know. But this woman, they almost hit her. And so they take her to this one area and start a fire. Henry says, I'm going to go and I'm going to get this snowmobile and I'll be back for you. Or the snowmobile, yeah, and I'll be back for you. So he leaves because Pete hurt his leg. So he's stuck with the woman. And while he tells Pete, hey, don't go back to get beer. Don't go back to the car to get the beer. Just stay here. The car's not that far, but we see he does go back and get beer. And while he's gone, though, the shit weasel works his way out of the lady's butthole, and he's there. And there's this weird, slow build where this thing is clearly crawling around, but he's talking nonsense, stuff about duddits, whatever, as it's slowly moving around. He throws like a beer bottle behind him, and it might hit the thing, but like it rolls around. And then he has to fight with the thing, where it attaches itself to its crotch, because these things like to go for the crotch, I guess. He lays on the fire, which somehow doesn't really hurt him. I mean, it might. I don't know. Meanwhile, Mr. Gray, who is in Jonesy's body, takes the snowmobile and heads back that way. Because they're all psychic, you see, Henry can sense that he's on the way. He thinks it's Jonesy and then realizes, no, it's not Jonesy. And hides in a snowdrift, but it's so instantaneous because they see Henry and then it cuts to Mr. Gray driving the thing and he just goes by and Henry's gone. And he's somehow in a snowdrift without any tracks. That's not fucking possible. There's no tracks leading to the snowdrift at all. And they did it that quickly? I don't think so. Also, meanwhile, we have the military coming in. About the time that they notice the animals, military come in with helicopters, and Jason Lee's yelling at them as if they could hear him. I don't know. Basically, they're quarantining the place off because in this world, there's a whole military branch dedicated to hunting down aliens, I guess, and Morgan Freeman is in charge. He's like almost ready for retirement, so you know he's ended up dead anyway. He even says, I'm too old for this shit, which you still have intending over, you son of a bitch. But anyway, he has the other guy with him. I don't know the guy's name. I'm just going to call him Bucko, because that's what he keeps calling him. So Bucko is like a second in command. And there's this whole long, drawn-out scene where we have some military talk, and the guy comes in and lies to Morgan Freeman, and he shoots the guy's hand off. There's just, I don't know. You gotta cut this out. This movie is just over 2 hours. 2 hours and 14 minutes, and you could just, you know, cut it down a little bit here. Just saying. So, yeah, the military. They're not good. Because he's old and set in his ways, I guess, and he wants to kill all these people, innocent or not, right? He doesn't know which ones are infected, so he wants to kill them all. Meanwhile, while skiing back from the cabin, he goes to the cabin. Henry gets to the cabin, and he finds Beaver dead, and this whole place covered in red stuff, and he finds that this shit weasel that was in the house has laid eggs, and there's some that have hatched in these little worm thingies. So he sets the place on fire, killing them, burning the place to the ground, and then skis his way, try to find his way out of town, and gets caught by the military. And then Jonesy hitches a ride from this dude who's carrying alien bodies, I guess. Now, if you're carrying alien bodies for the military, why would you pick someone up on the... I guess he didn't really pick him up. He just says the hitch is undone, but... I don't know. When he kills the guy by turning into a giant... By the way, there's something with this character, Mr. Gray. Every time he turns his head, it chuns. Chun, 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 chun. And when he lifts up his hood, it goes... Whoosh, every time. It's really weird. And he turns into this... There's a cool transition that you can put the hood up, and the camera will go down, and then it pans up, and he turns into the thing and eats the dude. Yeah. Well, he ate Pete. I should mention that. He kills Pete by eating him, because he... And all this time he's like, come with me, Pete. And so he gets him to go with him, and then he kills him, so what was the point? Like, I know he wanted information out of him. Meanwhile, Jonesy, inside of his mind warehouse, realizes that he needs to hide Duddits from Mr. Gray. So he goes into the files, gets all the files on Duddits, and brings it to his little shelter that he's hiding out in. It's important. It's important. Trust me. So we know that Mr. Gray is going somewhere. He's going to Massachusetts, Boston. Massachusetts, Boston, out in New York. Boston. Because of something. We'll figure it out. So, Henry convinces Bucko, so they might remember him by, to help him. They call the, so he calls their superior and gets them to come in to go over the operation. And Bucko breaks Henry out, and they go forth to try to stop Mr. Gray, or they know him as Jonesy. Okay, so they're driving, and he's talking, he's trying to tell them, they've done it, stuff like that. And he's like, come on, Jonesy, call me. You can call. Like, he'd say, oh, is that your... That's a nice gun. So he takes the clip out, and he looks at it, and he's like, look at it. It's a gun that Morgan Freeman gave to Bucko, right? He's like, oh, that's a nice gun. Looking at it, he's like, come on, Jonesy, you can call me. The gun rings. I kid you not. He picks up the phone in the mine warehouse. The gun rings. He answers the gun, and he's talking to him. And the whole time, I swear to God, Bucko is in the driver's seat going. And then he starts talking to him afterwards, he's like, can I have mine come back? I mean, he believes him. I mean, he deals with aliens. He believes him. There's also a scene I should point out where they see the alien spaceship. It's okay looking. It's 2003, so CGI, I think 2004, earlier 2003. Whatever. And the ship self-destructs. Now, there's something that caught my eye on this. It may just be like subterfuge, but like all the aliens are saying, we are harmless, do not hurt us, we need help. And they come in. I know they turned a little back into the ship weasels again, but I don't know. Meanwhile, Mr. Gray has a dog with him, and he's made the dog eat part of the aliens. And I'm like, why? What is this? Why is he doing this? Well, it's so that the shit weasel grows inside him. And then, so are they saying that the berries that they ate weren't really berries? They ate alien or the red moss stuff? Oh, I just connected that. So the stuff they had, there was not alien bodies, but the red stuff. So they ate the red stuff, and the shit weasels were birthed from that. Inside their bodies, the gestation period. Okay, I get it now. I get it. Okay, I made a connection. Yeah, and it's around here that this started to kind of fuck up, but I know what happens. So, it's close to here. So the gun call, I guess you should say, on the gun call, Jonesy basically tells him that Mr. Gray is going to Massachusetts, but you need to go to Maine, because that's where they're from. It's Derry, Maine. There was a point where they even go to look into the sewer, and I'm like, don't go in there. This is Derry, Maine. We all float down here. But yeah, so they gotta go get Duddits. So they go get Duddits, and his mom just somehow knows. And Duddits is just gonna go. He's got the cancer. He's dying. It doesn't matter. And now Duddits is played by Donnie Wahlberg, just so you know. And so she just fine with giving him away. It's never really explained what if she's her real mother or what it is. I don't know. I don't know. They don't know. But they have to go to Massachusetts to stop him. So from what I gathered, they go to Massachusetts to stop Mr. Gray. Mr. Gray is going to, at least, and Duddits does say, one worm ends the world. You know? And they go back to the flashback again where they say, you gotta save the girl. He's like, save the world? And then he says, Mr. Gay. Mr. Gray. So he kind of knew the whole time something was going to happen. So, Mr. Gray Jonesy turns into an alien. The big alien thing again. And Duddits is also an alien. They fight off. Ends up turning, they fight and they turn into a Dreamcatcher, which is the name of the book and the movie. And there was a Dreamcatcher in their cabin, just so you know that he got taken over by the red moss stuff. And then Jonesy, who is somehow still alive and not an alien anymore. I don't know how that works. I didn't see the really end. Squishes the bug, and from what I gathered, the movie just ends right there. Well, I should also mention there's another part where the gun is being tracked by Morgan Freeman. So he finds them. He's in the chopper. I don't know how he gets away from the general, but he's in the chopper. He's trying to shoot them down. He gets shot down. Black Hole gets killed in the process. I should mention that. But the movie does just abruptly end. Yeah, this was okay. I'm going to give it middle of the road. It was fun. Kind of like with Cursed. It's a fun little movie. Shit wheels and all. But it's middle of the road nonetheless. Yeah, so there we go. First Stephen King Saturday Night done. And the first day of recordings done. Don't know when I'll start recording again because tomorrow's Friday. It's payday. It takes a little time. I don't know what my schedule is. If I'm going to be home after I get done with my errands. I don't know. But we shall see. But until then, what are your thoughts on Dreamcatcher? Let me know in the comments below. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching. I've been Scotty, and I'll see you in the next one.